Welcome back. As we mentioned earlier, California Governor Gavin Newsom moments ago said he is calling for an independent investigation into the loss of water pressure at local fire hydrants as local officials have grown increasingly frustrated with the lack of resources to fight these historic fires. Joining me now on set is Kevin Frey, Washington correspondent for New York One. Simone Sanders Townsend, former senior advisor to President Biden and Vice President Harris. She's also co-host of The Weekends on MSNBC. And Stephen Hayes, editor and CEO of The Dispatch. He's also an NBC News political analyst. Thanks to all of you for being here. Kevin, let me start with you and what we've been talking about throughout the hour. These horrific fires that are burning in Los Angeles, the politics of the disaster response. We know that President-elect Trump has consistently been targeting Governor Newsom. One of his latest posts says, one of the best and most beautiful parts of the United States of America is burning down to the ground. It's ashes, and Gavin, and he distorts his name, should resign. This is all his fault. Talk about, this is obviously a leadership test for Newsom, but it could also be a test for President-elect Trump and how he handles it.
Yeah, I believe the word is Newscom that he's using to describe Gavin Newsom. I mean, this is a continuation from the last go-around of the Trump White House in terms of their relationship and their tit for tat. And we have seen, I believe there was some great reporting in Politico, for example, the one time that apparently Trump was convinced to actually send aid, I believe it was 2018 or so, because he was told there are Republicans on the ground. This is, at least for the moment, re-exposing this idea of a real transactional relationship when it comes to something that usually, traditionally, has been relatively above politics. There have been sprinkles of it, certainly. Look at Louisiana after Hurricane Katrina. Think of Hurricane Sandy in the Northeast. But generally speaking, there is an effort by politicians to try to look strong and cooperative in these sort of natural disasters. And so far, it seems Trump is going to be returning to at least his model from the last go-around, which is more transactional and political.
It's a really important point. I mean, Stephen, pick up on that because, again, this is a test for President-elect Trump. He's 10 days away from being sworn into office. The fires are still burning. People are displaced. We're still counting the death toll, and he's pointing fingers. Could this, in fact, backfire on him?
I mean, it depends who you're talking about, right? Certainly not with the MAGA base, right?
Yeah,
I think this is what they're looking for. They want this. They want President Trump on the attack. This is who President Trump is in certain senses, as Kevin points out. Look, I think there's a bigger story here, too. This is this new media moment that we're in. It's not really about, hey, let's find out what happened and then carefully look to see who deserves blame. It's let's race forward and assign blame. And both sides are doing this, by the way. Let's race forward and assign blame and pretend that we know everything that's happened here so that we can either get more engagement on social media or win a political battle or win the moment. And it's just unhelpful for everybody in terms of figuring out what actually has happened.
And what becomes complicated, is that there's a little kernel of truth sometimes in some of these claims, and then that explodes and you lose sight of what's actually happening.
Like the fact that there was no water when I agree that this is media moment, people are rushing, but I don't agree that it's both sides. I mean, I really, the owner of the LA Times spread misinformation, and then it was particularly about that there was no water, and I think it was really about trying to blame the mayor. There's a Democratic mayor in Los Angeles, Karen Bass, former congresswoman, and talk about the kernel of truth. She was literally in Ghana while these wildfires were raging, was not on the ground. I do think that she needs to come out forcefully with an explanation to the people of Los Angeles for that. But then on the back end, the same publisher and others, again, this was primarily MAGA individuals were spreading the lie about the fire budget, saying that the fire budget was reduced by $23 million, when in all actuality, after doing actual reporting, the budget was increased $50 million, actually. So I think it is important that everyone wants to be right on this and accurate. And it is unfortunate that the president-elect doesn't necessarily share that because it's not who he is. His first thing isn't about what's right. It's about what do I think.
Simone, what about the leadership test for Governor Gavin Newsom? He is someone who has been talked about a lot in terms of 2028. There's no doubt that if he does, in fact, decide to move forward with that, voters will be looking at this moment.
I mean, probably one of the reasons that the water pressure is now going to be investigated, because it is a real question. Why was the water pressure not working? But also, who will people blame for that? Some of that blame is going to go to LA Mayor Karen Bass and the city. Some of that blame could eventually leak to Gavin Newsom. And I think the people of Los Angeles, the people in LA County, they do deserve some explanations. I think we have to see how the entirety of this all plays out. We have yet to see Governor Newsom and the president-elect, soon to be President Trump, come face to face. In 10 days, he's going to be dealing with Donald Trump, not Joe Biden. That's who he will have to be on the phone calling. And I would lastly just say that there was a viral video of a woman that walked up to him while she had watched her house burn. And he's like, I'm trying to get the president on the phone right now. And she is rightfully just hysterical. And she's like, let me talk, let me monitor the phone call. Let me talk. Why are you not doing this? Why are you not doing that? That is, I think, one of the many manifestations of how people are feeling in California at this moment.
And it's moments like that, which I didn't think he handled very well at all.
I thought it was a little brush offish.
Yeah, he didn't even ask about this woman's daughter. You could see that she was so frustrated, and he gave sort of perfunctory answers and kept pointing at his phone. I think moments like that, in some ways, are going to matter more to his political future than what we determine about the actual policy
Look at us agreeing.
I agree.
Wait, it's scary moment.
Kevin, they agree, and it's remarkable. Kevin, let me shift gears a little bit here and talk about what we were just discussing with Vaughn Hilliard, which is this quote-unquote sentencing that occurred in New York today. There's no prison time. There's no penalty, no fee that is going to be paid. And to some extent, President-elect Trump says he is going to appeal this, but to some extent, it's being viewed as symbolic. What do you think the implications are today of President-elect Trump now becoming officially a convicted felon?
I mean, it certainly gives Democrats something to harp about when they're on the Hill. I'm not sure that it's going to do much in terms of resonance just because of the fact that he was elected and people knew all these facts to begin with, and they still voted for him anyway. On top of that, though, it does feed in for Republicans to this narrative of he is a victim, he has been attacked. And so you've already seen Speaker Johnson, some of the Republicans in New York who are trying to find ways to accuse the DA of not being focused on crime. It's giving them fodder to kind of build off of that.
Stephen, we've seen him time and time again use these moments, use these political battles to rally people around him. He did it throughout the primaries, and it's arguably one of the things that helped him defeat his primary rivals so handily.
Look at the statement that he put out, right? I mean, he frames this almost as an exoneration when it's a conviction. I mean, it's just the way that he makes the argument. I think if you're looking at sort of how Donald Trump sees this, he's now seen that this is over. This was his very best case to use to say that there was lawfare. I mean, it was a triple bank shot. It was flimsy from the beginning. He can say, look, they just came after me. And you had, of course, public statements from the people who came after him suggesting in advance that they were going to come after him. This is his strongest case. I think he's happy to try to capitalize it to make a bigger argument about lawfare. But it's all in the past now.
And the other thing that's extraordinary is, I mean, this is like a perfect storm. Over the course of the last year, we had all of these cases stacked up, and then the Supreme Court did not move very expeditiously. Arguments that the DOJ didn't act soon enough with the indictments to begin with. The fact that we have seen, among other things, the stalls when it comes to the actual conviction. I mean, this was just like a compilation of a perfect storm for Trump to get out of these various cases.
Simone, final point.
Well, today, I mean, I appreciated that you used sentencing, air quotes, when you said it, because that's how I felt about the whole performative, if you will, of doing what the government does. This is a really good example of the system doing what the system says it should do, and like this is what precedent and all the things say. But the people don't see that. The people say, you said he's a convicted felon, yet I see he's running for president, got elected. If anyone else in Donald Trump's position, they would be in jail right now, or at least would have gotten a real sentencing, and they wouldn't be able to get a clearance in the White House. So I hope he becomes an advocate for people who have been convicted of felonies. Remove that box out of here, okay? Get these people clearances. Give them jobs in the White House.
There you go. We'll have to see if that happens in his second term. Simone, Stephen, and Kevin, thanks for a great conversation. We really appreciate it.